Welcome to One Insight. My name is Litvin. I grew up in London and I now live in LA. And this is a podcast for extraordinary top performers and their coaches. You see, I've coached some of the most successful and talented people on the planet. I can see what most people cannot see, and I dare to say what most people wouldn't dare to say. And what I know about success is that on the other side of it, it can be incredibly lonely. You can feel more of an imposter the more successful you become. And when you're the most interesting person in the room, you're actually in the wrong room. Clients who are more successful, more intelligent, and wealthier than you need your support more than they know and more than you can imagine. I coach around insight. Life looks one way, something happens, and the world looks different, and your entire world changes. It can happen in an instant. And this podcast is called One Insight because a single insight can change everything. You're about to watch or listen to me coaching Scott and Kate. Kate has got an extraordinary track record of success behind her. She is known by and trusted by several world leaders, and she is in her head about how she can get them as coaching clients. So I snap her out of it. I really do energetically snap her out of it. Even right to the very end of the call, her fears and her doubts come in. And I tell her two things. One, you need to have fear and doubt. It's a sign you're working with the caliber of people you need to work with. And two, it's a sign that you're in your head. I've got to get you out of your head. So enjoy as I see me work with her. Scott has got a background in the corporate world, a track record of success. I have to snap him out of one thing in particular of referring to himself as a new coach. And I slow him down to the power of a single conversation, which will change everything for him. And I'll see both of them at the intensive that's coming up. And if you're interested, come and join us too, because it's where we get to do the energetic work around creating clients that you can't always capture in the nuance of a recording or a piece of writing. I'll see you soon. Welcome, Scott. Welcome, Kate. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Rich.
Great to be here.
So this podcast season is a fun one for me. I'm bringing along people who are coming to meet up with me in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and we're going to dive deep into client creation. I realized recently that, probably 90% or so of what I teach is online. You could watch my videos, listen to my podcast, read my book. The difference of doing the work with me is the energetics, the nuance of a word or a phrase, the being surrounded by other coaches who are playing a really big game to inspire you and also slightly intimidate you, but draw you out. That's the magic of what I do. It's the reason we've had coaches come back year after year for over a decade now to these intensives. So you're going to be somewhere really special in Santa Fe. It's an amazing place, but also an amazing experience going deep. And since Santa Fe and the RLI is about client creation, I wanted to ask you a question about client creation today, and we'll see where we go in this conversation. But if we played a game called I Can Get You Any Client, who would you want to coach and how can I help? Hey, Scott, we don't know each other yet, so let's see where we go in this conversation.
Sure. If any client, I don't know that it's as specific as much as I want to be able to coach somebody that can be incredibly impactful. So my background is a 30-year career as a senior executive with very well-known companies like American Express, Dell, GE, Comcast in marketing and digital experience. And I've seen over time with the rate of change and transformation in business, it's creating a lot of challenges in leadership and making it more difficult when we go to our default behaviors under extreme stress. That doesn't usually bring out the best. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, some of that is manifesting itself. And I see my role as being a bit of a pebble in the water that sends ripples of goodness and bringing health back into the workplace. And so being able to coach people that can be impactful, and I tend to coach executives from director to the C-suite. So anywhere in that range, but those that can have the greatest impact are those that interest me the most, because my passion and mission is really helping redefine how people experience the world and bring happiness and goodness back into it.
Ooh, I felt that. I mean, this is not your first rodeo. It really lands clearly. That 30-year career in the background is still present for you. You've transcended it, obviously, but it's still there. You know your people, you know that world. Some people leave corporate, never want to go back. You know you can make a difference. Don't want to be in it, but want to be part of it to make a real difference. And this word impact really resonates. This isn't just a little pebble that makes tiny ripples. This is a stone thrown into the pond, and whew, the effects are big, right?
That's my hope. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Who's your favorite client until now? Someone you've actually coached? Give me a first name. Someone, I love working with this particular client.
Tatiana.
What do you love about her the most?
She loves to play. She loves to be coached. She's willing to go anywhere, and we create breakthroughs accordingly.
What can you tell me about her role, again, without divulging who she is necessarily, unless it's okay, but she's in the C-suite. What does she do? Tell me more about her role.
Senior product person in a well-funded startup.
How did she become a client of yours?
Friend of a friend. Referrals. I follow your methodology, Rich.
Nice. What I find with referrals is that coaches and consultants can be a little bit dismissive of them because it feels like I didn't really do any work. Just a friend told a friend, and then I end up with a client. Actually, it's the platinum standard of business. When you have a word of mouth business, when you serve people so powerfully that others talk about you, that's amazing. How often do you go to your clients and say, hey, client, I built a word of mouth business and I love referrals from people I trust. Would you be willing to make a referral to me?
Yeah, it is something that I actually do both with clients as well as I'm constantly networking with my network to create awareness around. I'm a relatively new coach, been at it for about 5 months, so I'm still in the hustle mode.
So there's a lot to unpack in what you just said. Let me just write down some notes. I noticed, first of all, you didn't answer my question. You went straight from, yeah, I do sometimes, and started talking about going into networking. I didn't ask about networking. A referral is someone who I know, who trusts me, and I trust them. There we get a powerful referral. I love to use the metaphor of a massage. Nobody refers a mediocre masseur. Like, oh, this masseur was like, they're okay. You should try them. We don't do that. But an amazing masseur, oh my God, I felt amazing afterwards. You've got to try them. That's a powerful referral.
Yes.
And we love making them. We really do. So we actually give a gift to our clients. And when we say, hey, Tatiana, I love working with you. And I build a business by word of mouth. Don't do big internet marketing or SEO or all this stuff you can do on social media. I have a handful of clients who I serve as powerfully as I can. And some of them talk about me to other people. Is there someone you know who you think could get value from working with me? Have you done that with Tatiana?
I have.
What did she say?
She said yes. She would be happy to put the word out.
Okay. So here's what you do next time. When she says, I'd be happy to put the word out, you say, actually, you know what? I don't want you to do that, Tatiana. Don't put the word out. What I'd rather you do is think of one person who comes to mind, either in this moment or later on. When you've got that one person, tell me about them, because I'd love to ask you a few questions about them. Because the problem with put the word out is she might put something on her social media. She might tell a bunch of friends when they're out a party, but it's not a powerful introduction for you. But if she says, okay, well, actually, my colleague James, he was C-suite level like me or senior vice president. He just left to go and work in another company. I know he needs some help. And then you can slow it down. Okay, do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Sure. First of all, tell me, what's his biggest dream right now? What holds him back the most? How coachable is he? Has he had much support before? And most important, why do you think I'd be a good person to refer him to, a good coach for him? What you're doing is getting her to think about the answers to these questions so that when she goes to James and says, James, you've got to talk to my coach, Scott. Here's why he's amazing. she's already answered the questions in her own mind that he might be asking her. And it's a great way to create a very powerful referral. And it's not, yep, let me put the word out.
I like that.
Yeah. And I can hear from the way that you slow down that you're kind of playing out those questions in your mind. So let me slow down too. That's the first thing. That's what to do the next time you ask for a referral. Really slow it down. That's all you want. It's one person's name. But then what you do too is you finish this conversation. She says, "Okay, great. Here's what I'll do. I'll send an email to you both and introduce you." No, hang on a second, Tatiana. Don't do that. That's like a cold introduction. He doesn't know who I am. Go and have a conversation with him first, because I don't know about you, but I hate cold intros. Someone sends me a random message. "Hey, Rich, meet Fred. You'd be a great coach for him." And now I'm thinking, well, do I reply to this email? Does Fred doesn't even know me. He feels awkward because he didn't ask for this referral. I feel awkward. So I only ever do double opt-in introductions. Tatiana, what you've just described to me about this person, Fred, sounds really fascinating. I think I could create some value for him. And I'd be willing, as a gift to you, to create an hour of time just for him. 30 minutes if he needs less time. Sometimes people aren't ready for the full time at the start. Here's what I'd like you to do, though. Go and speak to him. Tell him who I am for you, why you think it could be of value, and then let him know that I've offered to gift him 30 minutes to 60 minutes of time as a gift from you to him. There'll be no charge for that. That's your gift to him. If he's interested, tell him to let me know. He can reach out to me, direct me, or then you can connect the two of us. But again, you are not then left with doing some kind of cold reach out to a stranger.
I like the specificity of that.
Yeah.
Because I tend to ask for, can you recommend a couple people? I do the gifting of a gift an hour of complimentary coaching, which I took from your book, The Prosperous Coach. And it works, but this is more powerful.
Yeah.
On the specificity.
Yep, it is. And what I might also add in now, because things have shifted since 10 years ago I first wrote that book, is, you may have heard me say it just now, for some people, 60 minutes with a stranger is a lot. Okay, Tatiana's referred you, but I don't know who you are. 60 minutes of my time, I'm a busy executive. So sometimes it's great to say, I'd offer him 30 minutes. And here's what I'll do. I've got 5 powerful questions I'm going to ask him in that conversation. Then if it's of interest, and you can even say to her, these are the kind of questions that are going to stimulate his thinking. And if we never speak again, they will give him all sorts of powerful insights. But if at the end of that 30 minutes, he thinks it could be interesting for us to do something together, I'll give him an hour of time. That way, he's only committing a short amount of time in the first instance.
Smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Less friction.
2 more things I've got to catch you on. Your language is powerful. You said I'm a new coach. Scott, we've never met before, but I forbid you from ever saying that phrase ever again. You've been coaching your entire life, 30 years as an executive, doing the kind of work you've done. You've been a coach, you've been a consultant, you've been a mentor, you've been a trusted advisor, you've been an executive. They're just tools in your tool belt that you can pull out when you need them. So don't talk about yourself in that way. It undermines who you are. There's a line actually at the front of the podcast where I say, for most of history, it wasn't called coaching, it was called leadership. Mm. You've been a leader for a long time, so coaching is just one of the tools that you have used. So language is powerful, and how we speak ourselves into the room really counts. You're not a beginner coach. You're not. There's an early episode of this podcast called I Have New Coach Smell. Said to me by someone who'd been in the world of leadership for a couple of decades. So let's take that out of your vocabulary. Coaching is just who you are, what you've done for a long time.
Heard.
Okay. And the last one is, you said, I'm a new coach, so I'm still in hustle mode. Those two things are completely separate. There are coaches who've been coaching for years who are still in hustle mode. It's a choice some people make to be in hustle mode. Mm. You don't have to make that choice. If you notice, even with a single idea about a referral, I've slowed you down to the minutiae of how to make that request. So it's what I said right at the beginning. Whilst you can get all this in written form, and you can see videos I've made about how to make referrals, you feeling this conversation as I'm having it with you personally lets the energetics come into your body. So you know the next time you're having that conversation, I can breathe. I can relax. I know what this feels like. I know why I'm going to ask Tatiana and how I'm going to say it. And when she says, yeah, let me go to my network. Oh, I felt that one. No, no, no. Hey, Tatiana, don't do that. I don't want you to do that. Here's what I do want you to do. And that's the energetic interchange that we just had.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, Scott. I can tell you're there, so I'm going to pause you in this moment. Hey, Kate, anything of value that you got from that for yourself?
Oh, look, always value. I really love that. I think I've really leaned into when you talk about coaching and leadership and how really looking at that whole leadership and coming in with that mindset now and not feeling the coaching for me, I felt like I really had to have a result. I was really pushing myself with my clients and the people that I work with to be really sure that there was a result at the end of my time working with them. Leadership gives me a lot more room and a lot more slowing down and a lot more sort of time to really be able to kind of make it more about them than about me, which I think, I think I sat in that pocket a little bit too much as a coach. So that really sat for me.
Good stuff. Yeah, it has to be about them always. So let me ask you the same question. I can get you any client. How shall we play?
It's been very interesting, actually. I spent time at one of your intensives recently, very recently, and I have to say it was a very sentinel moment for me. I had not realized how powerful being in the room with both you and actually Monique at the time, how much that it's very hard for me to even put a word on it. There's a lovely German word that I used in my PhD thesis called Augenblick, and it means that moment in a room where something extraordinary happens, but you can't, and it will never happen again, and you can't actually put a word to it, but it's something that everybody in the room feels. And it felt like one of those moments there. And I think it was the stepping into understanding that I have always been this person. I've just let life diminish it. So I have always been powerful. I have always had a high performance mindset. I have also always wanted to challenge the status quo, to change the narrative. That's always been who I am, at the heart of who I am, even, being a little person. And I let the world or circumstances or challenges kind of help me diminish. I wanted to, here's the thing, I wanted to be ordinary to fit in. And so what I did was I always knew I was extraordinary in a way, in a terms of difference. And I always tried so hard to be ordinary to fit in. And I think what I learned in LA and from following the Prosperous Coach and all of the, Project Kairos and everything else, is that actually I can't hide that extraordinary anymore. That really, that is the thing that is powerful, and who I want to work with and how I want to move forward. And so it's really changing. I'm being much more discerning in who I want as clients now and who I'm going to work with and how I'm going to move forward. So for me, it is these people with a high performance mindset who really are on a mission to change the narrative or to change the status quo. And it might be in their own lives or it might be in other people's lives. And invariably, it's going to be both. We know that it's going to be both. And it's really been a strong understanding from that moment that that's how it is. So now I'm kind of switching it up a little bit in terms of how and who I'm going to work with.
Here's what I have for you based on what you've just said. And I know it takes courage to say all of that because you're beginning to articulate it in a way for the first time. Yeah, you've always been that woman who's challenged the status quo. That's always been who you are in the world. And you're seeing that in real time for the first time. Resist the urge to help people who want to change the status quo and filter for people who already are. It will be easy for you to help people who are on the journey that you've been on in the past. That won't be difficult, and it will not be inspiring for too long. This is the line I like to use. Stop looking for clients who you can inspire and look for clients who inspire you.
I do love that.
So Scott, I know some things about Kate's history, what she's done in the world. She's got an extraordinary track record of doing all sorts of things before other people in her fields, in the world, actually, Kate, right? Going back to 26 years old and what you did as in the world of cricket and so on. So as a reporter, filter for people who have a track record of making a big difference and challenging the status quo and are just upping their level, not for people who want to.
Yeah, I've really been thinking about that too, and we had a discussion obviously in Los Angeles about world leaders, and really wanting to look at the challenge of particularly women leadership, and the price of women leadership, and I've really been taking that on, and that has become really a personal project of mine, and I think it filters to a lot of other areas, and that the challenge around being a woman in the room at that level and being able to keep your femininity, being able to keep who you are, the essence of who you are as a woman, not having to become masculine, a la Margaret Thatcher, to become, to be in the room at that level, to be at the top level of political. I looked at the statistic just yesterday, actually.
Okay, let me keep you out of abstractions for a second. Let me get back down to specifics, because you and I can geek out on this stuff. I've worked with powerful women for a long time. I've got a client right now who's a former surgeon, a woman, and to be a surgeon in a very male-dominated field is very, very, very challenging. We could talk about all sorts of nuances around this. I can get you any client. How can I help?
I'd really like to get those clients. I would love to be able to I believe I can connect with these people. I have no doubt that I can connect with former.
Well, let me slow you down again. If there was more time on a personal call, I'd let you share more of your story. But because I know this.
But I'm not sure about the client, getting them as a client. So those are the people I would love to have as a client.
Great.
But I'm not sure.
So Scott, what you might not know about Kate is that she actually knows some world leaders. This isn't someone who's dreaming, oh, I hope one day I could finally get to meet somebody like that. She does know some people who've made a massive difference in the world already. And they're colleagues, their peers, their friends. So what I would do, Kate, is use a very simple question. Who do you know? Who do you know? Such a powerful question, because you can speak to one of these people and say, hey, I'm taking my coaching business to the next level. I've made a very clear decision that I don't want to work with lots of people. I want between 1 and 3 clients only. And these are world leaders. These are people and then you can describe the impact they've had and what they're doing. And you can say, who do you know? Who do you know like this who might want some support in their next big thing? If it's them, they're going to go, oh my God, Kate, I'm so glad you said that. That's exactly what I'm up to right now. Can we talk? If it's not, because they already have the support they need, they're not looking for support, they're going to say, I don't know, let me think about that. Or they're going to say, you should speak to my friend so-and-so. Who do you know is such a great question. And it's really powerful when you know, oh, I'd like to work with this person. But instead of saying, and you can say once in a while, you can look someone in the eyes and say, hey, dude, we should work together. Like that level of humor you can bring in sometimes. With people you know, you can say that. But that's once in a while. But you can also say, hey, can I ask a favor? I build my business by word of mouth and referral only. I don't do internet marketing. I don't do social media. I don't do SEO. I speak to people I know and I trust. Some of them become clients. Some make referrals. But they trust me. So it feels like a really powerful conversation. Can I ask you a couple of questions? Sure, Kate. Well, I'm creating space right now for a single client. It's a woman who has a track record of challenging the status quo. But what she's doing next is a level of challenging the status quo that even for her, has her quaking in her boots a little bit. Do you know someone like that?
I like that. Yeah, I like that. Because I think that was the challenge for me was how do I bridge that in that conversation? Yeah. And a little bit of fear of like, okay, these people are already they have an incredible high performance and mindset and that sense of, aspiring to that kind of leadership.
And are you aware that the bigger the challenge that people work on, the bigger the internal challenge that comes along with it? It's the bit that we miss. We think, well, how can I coach them because they're already so successful? Well, if they're working on a really big mission, they have really big internal challenges they're working on at the same time. That's how it works.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, yeah, like I am at the moment.
Totally, because you're one of those people. So you have the ability to do this. Will it feel scary? I hope so, Kate. If it doesn't feel scary, you're not inviting the kind of clients you should be working with.
I agree. And I love the challenge of it. And I think that's what I've been missing for many years, is the challenge of something that's really going to make me step up. That's really going to excite me. That's going to make me want to wake up every morning and go, oh, get to do this every day.
So just so you know, Scott, it's not rocket science over here. I know Kate has a track record of loving challenges, thriving on challenging the status quo and taking on big challenges. I get clients like Kate once or twice a year. And the only thing I need to do is to say things like, I don't think you could ever do that. And they're like, I'll show you.
He did that in LA about, world leader, and could you? And I'm like, actually, yeah, I could just message her right now. and yeah, which was pretty cool, because I had never thought about doing that. And that's what I loved about, and again, I guess being in the room too with you as well. That's one of the extraordinary things is when you're in a room with like-minded people, and then you have you in there, and Monique, the safety around being able to go, actually, what is the big deal about? I can do that. I can pick up my phone and do this. Whereas I would have probably never have done that had I not been in that room.
You can. So the challenge I have for you is, by the time we meet in Santa Fe, to have had some of these who do you know questions. Okay. One of these a week until we meet up in Santa Fe will change your life. I'm not saying every day, every hour. This should be very few and far between. But when someone comes to mind, you call them, you speak to them, you have coffee with them, and you ask them, who do you know? Your world will change.
Yeah, that sounds exciting.
Scott, if you could summarize a takeaway from anything that's happened, either me coaching with Kate or me talking with you, what's one takeaway you've got from this call?
I think it's the power of connection with individuals. So what you described is not shooting off, I'll forward you an email, you could forward on. It's a conversation.
Yeah. Which
I would assume with all three of us, it's something we're already very comfortable with. Yeah. Yeah. It's the power of one conversation at a time. It really does shift everything. And I like to joke, I'm more of an introvert. It doesn't mean I'm shy, but I'm in a party, I'll talk to one person all night. I'm not trying to work the room. And this can work whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, because it's one conversation at a time. Scott, thank you. How about you, Kate? One takeaway, one simple takeaway from anything today.
I think it is that I feel like it's difficult to lead others if you don't lead yourself, if you don't charge yourself forward first. And I think that's one of the things that the doubt has been in there for so long, that I still wobble a little bit when I come to have that call, or when I can I can talk to them about having a research project, which I think is what we talked about initially at one point. But to have that coaching, that conversation around connection, around coaching these people, that is, I have to actually be bold. If I'm, I can't be humble.
So here's what I can tell you don't yet have. If you have that, first of all, I want you to have that doubt. If it goes away, you're not talking to someone who's inspiring enough. So don't lose the doubt. And second of all, what you're not bringing in, I can tell, is an audition mindset. What it needs to be is not, hey, who do you know? Because hopefully, fingers crossed, if the wind is following in the right direction, they or you will become a client of mine because I really, really want that. Like, that is not a powerful mindset. An audition mindset is when they say, oh my God, Kate, that's me. You're like, well, slow things down. Let's find out. I don't work with anybody. Like, you don't have to say those words out loud, but that's the energy you have to bring. Hang on, my castle, my rules. Let's see. And you're not bringing that yet, I can tell, which is why you're getting in your head about this. You don't need a client right now, Kate. So be super choosy.
And I think I have with the clients I've been working with now, I've been sort of really changing up because, of course, I've been at I don't want to say a lower level. I've been working at a lesser price range. So for that, I can be more. I felt like I've been a lot more in the audition mindset, but this feels this feels like, oof, who am I to audition these people? These people have led the world. But I think that is the challenge that I still face a little bit in that, but I have to.
Do you know that Tiger Woods has a swing coach, and he has coaches for all different aspects of his performance, and none of them are better at golf than he is. They don't need to be. You don't have to be a world leader to coach a world leader. You have to be someone who's trusted by a world leader to coach a world leader. And you are. Again, Scott, I'm not making this up. This isn't just a dream that some people have. Kate knows world leaders and his peers and friends with some of them. So that's what you need, Kate. The audition mindset is, hey, I can definitely help you, but I'm not sure if I am the right person to help you. Let's find out together.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Because I think that was what was the block. I was trying to go the long way around.
Yes.
To get there.
You're not, dude, you're supposed to challenge the status quo. That means even in that moment, you challenge them, okay? That's your job, to be provocative. They will not entertain you otherwise. Years ago, I got a friend who called me and said, hey, the team from an A-list celebrity has asked if I will coach him. And I'm not sure what happened because they just dropped off the radar, stopped talking to me. I said, well, what did you do? And they said, well, I got this message that they heard about me. They want me to potentially coach this A-list celebrity. And I said, that'd be amazing. I'd love to. I'll give him a couple of hours of my time for free. Doesn't have to pay anything. Let's talk. And he said, I never heard back. And I said, well, your problem was that in that moment, you should have said, okay, hang on a second. I don't work with just anybody. Why does he want to coach? How coachable is he? Maybe even offering a price point for what would normally be a free conversation, but to set the bar like, hey, I don't just open my door for anybody. I don't care how famous this person is. And that's why he never heard from him again, because he didn't show up as a peer. He showed up as like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. I'll give him all my time. You are a peer to these people. Show up that way. That's my challenge to you.
Can I ask a question around people who are at that level who ask for credibility, who want to check out credibility? Because that makes me a little bit nervous in terms of like, they like to see who and what you've done before.
I'm going to call BS on that.
Okay.
Because your people aren't going to ask for credibility. We're talking about people you know and trust. If you're going through the HR department of some corporation to try and work with the CEO, HR are going to ask for all your qualifications. But you're not meant to go through HR. You don't need to worry about that. Your people know you and trust you. Okay. I've got a friend who's in real estate, and all her clients are A-list Hollywood celebrities. And I'll tell you why, because she calls it like it is. She doesn't care who they are. She's not intimidated by them. She just tells them exactly what they need to hear. No, you won't like that house. You should have this house. You're spending too much money. Don't do this, do that. And they love her because nobody talks to them like that. And she doesn't care. She's not trying anything on. She just knows who she is and feels confident in speaking her truth, whether it's a person in Starbucks or it happens to be someone who's world famous. That's what you need to bring. No one asks for qualifications.
No, I hear you with that actually, when I've worked with in another aspect of work that I've done for people at that level. Yeah.
You've worked with so many people at this level, so you're just getting in your head if you're asking it.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful. Thank you. It's really helpful.
Thanks, Kate. Thanks, Scott. More to come. And we've got a virtual intensive coming up, and we'll see you in Santa Fe. Thanks for playing.
Great. Thanks, Rich.
For most of human history, it wasn't called coaching. It was called leadership. And it's what I love to do, to coach people, to lead people, and to mess with people's thinking. If you'd like more of this, or if you'd like to learn more about our community of extraordinary top performers, go to richlitvin.com/oneinsight.